Hey everybody, Professor Doom here. And one thing I'd like to say is I'm absolutely ecstatic that nothing happened this 9/11. Was there evidence of an 11-year cycle? Absolutely there was. Now, that leads me to question a few things about, and I apologize if anybody got the impression that that was definitely something supposed to happen. But let's take a look at all of the troublesome events that have been going on since yesterday. And if we take a look at, let's take a look at everything as a whole from August 8th, which of course we know is Maui. Let's take a look at what just happened over in Morocco. Let's take a look at what's going on in Lybia. Let's take a look at what's going on the East Coast right now. Major, major flooding. And you know what's interesting about all of this? The world has gone absolutely mad with events right now. And what is interesting about this East Coast or this Massachusetts Leominster, which it absolutely means nothing. But you know what? When I started looking at this, I was going, wow, wait a minute. Isn't this green comet supposed to have been gone through the head of Leo the lion? I know it means nothing, but I did find it very interesting what's going on there in Leominster. So they're reporting now that they've evacuated or called for the evacuation of everybody surrounding the area where this Barrett Park Pond Dam, and they're asked to immediately evacuate amid the flooding. The flooding's getting so bad that they're worried that the dam is not going to be able to hold. Which, considering we were talking about the $50 bill folded up and showing a dam, and maybe it was only that we assumed that was supposed to be the Hoover Dam. And maybe it's only that I assumed. And yes, we know what assuming means, making an ass out of you and me, and particularly not you, but myself. But, so that is something very interesting to take a look at that's going on. And you know what? So I want to show you guys something. You guys remember iPetGoat 2? That there's the green dragon that is on the wall right there behind the two presidents, right there beneath the chalkboard. You remember that? And then, of course, you remember the green face that is in the television set, and that's Draco. So what do we know about Draco? Okay, let's take a look at some very interesting things regarding all this, because I want to show you something about the Johns Hopkins University Apocalyptic Murals with stuff that's going on right now. So what do we know? Okay, we know that in iPetGoat 2, they were depicting Draco, the dragon, and then we also had the dragon on the back wall, as I mentioned previously. And as you can see, Draco is the Latin term for dragon. What do we know about a dragon? Fire breathing. And who did I say Draco was associated with? The Anunnaki, or the leader of the Anunnaki for planet Earth, was none other than the god Inky. And Inky definitely is associated with the term Draco, period. So I've shown you guys all about the crop circles, showing us that it was decoded to say Ea Inky. And I also showed you a crop circle that was beware of those bearing false gifts. We do not about, God, I'm trying to think of the exact wording of that. They do not approve of deception. And I had said that we are definitely all being deceived. So now, you know what's interesting about Draco, the number 9? Draco is the 9th largest constellation. And when you think about 9/11, and then I wanted to check to see exactly what the 11th constellation was. And very interestingly enough, it is the one constellation that we do not even count, and it is the 13th. So the 11th largest constellation is the 13th constellation that we don't even credit with our astrological signs, 1 through 12 only. So the 11th largest constellation, Earth actually travels through 13 signs, including Capricorn, Aries, and yes, Ophiuchus. But some 3,000 years ago, the Babylonians, and not NASA, decided 12 was neater than 13. So the 11th largest is this Serpent Bear constellation. What is so interesting about this? I'm going to show you how Inky, or I should say Saturn Cronus, because I've already proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that Inky, Saturn, and Cronus are actually one and the same entity. So let us take a look at a few things here before we get there, because we're going to look at, does everybody agree that when you take a look at movies, they're telling you things? And you look at cartoons, take The Simpsons, they have predictive programming in there. But what about comics? What about some of the Marvel comics or the multiverse? Let's take a look at something very interesting about Draco. What did I just say about the identity of Draco? You've seen it in iPad Go 2, and you're seeing it here. The X-Men Marvel Multiverse, or just let's just call it the X-Men. And do they know something that I knew? Because I haven't seen this before until I found this. But I already knew this information, that Inky was none other than the entity Draco. So now we have to ask ourselves, with this green comet, with the, which I do believe there's a celestial body that is coming our way, is that entity going to be returning on our Earth? Let's take a look. As you can see, the arrow shows you Draco. And if you look at the top arrow, he's been called many names. And one of those names is Inky, Draco. One of the interesting things about the Marvel universe and Earth becoming known as Earth 616 and grew into an entire multiverse. How did the Marvel Comics multiverse begin? And how did the Marvel universe get the name Earth 616? And then becomes, were they telling us something? And what exactly is it? Is Inky Cronus Saturn, and Saturn is none other than Satan, and which I've already proven that as well. There's something interesting about Inky being the Lord of the Earth. And what is the number of this beast in the book of Revelation that speaks about this number 666? And they go on to tell you here, and there's many, many articles or many pieces of evidence that you can find relating to the fact that the number is actually 616, the number of the beast. Okay, so now for evidence of church times, the number of the beast in Revelation is 616. Not 666, say scholars who have been working their way through a large haul of Greek papyri discovered in a dump. Okay, outside of Egypt. So, just want to know what is really eerie and something to be concerned about. So we've talked quite a bit on this channel about the Madrid fault line, and videos that have been long taken down with some of my other channels. This is now, I do believe, what, my third or fourth channel that I've been working on to rebuild after YouTube have taken it down. What I want to show you is I want you to keep your eye on the map up here. I know it's a little small, so what we're going to do is we're going to expand it for your viewing. Let's expand this here. And if you'll look at that map, what do we see? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring another image of this up with arrows pointing to the different locations that have the tacks in the map. And I want to show you something that should have us all concerned, I think, I believe. So if we take a look at the furthest most arrow, and you have the state of Oklahoma. And of course, what would that be? That would be the Murrah Building, the federal building that they tried to claim was taken down by, you know who, we won't mention any names. We won't explain how they claim that. But what we do know is there was an officer who questioned it, and he wound up dead. And we know that Ted Gunderson, who was head of FBI in a certain location, was it New York? I can't remember exactly where he was. Maybe it was Los Angeles. Can't remember where he was based out of. But anyway, Ted Gunderson also told us about detonated ordinances that were discovered inside the building. There has also been individuals that have analyzed this demolition, and we're going to call it that because we don't want to have any words that are going to possibly bring down my channel whatsoever. But that furthest arrow right there definitely is the Murrah Building, which indicates that this was an event that was done from the inside, not meaning inside the building, but from within our very own government. Now, let's take a look at the top right one. And that image right there is, of course, 9/11, 2001, New York area. Would you guys all agree to that? That needs no explanation, but we know all of the particulars about that event, and we know the truth, don't we? Here's where it gets a little interesting. Was Hurricane Katrina really nothing more than just a hurricane? As you will see, there is a thumbtack up there right at Louisiana and Mississippi, and we know that that hurricane affected those two locations. And I do not have the arrow going to it, but as you can see, if you are familiar with a map, well, then you know exactly where on the United States land mass right there, you know exactly where Louisiana is, and you can see a thumbtack right there. But does everybody see the thumbtack that is just below that? Does anybody know what that thumbtack represents? Let me give you a clue what I think it is. That, my friends, is the Horizon oil platform that was destroyed, or I should say they claimed blew up in the Gulf of Mexico. And do you know what's interesting about this location right there? If you look at the location of where that platform was, it is right there in line with the Madrid fault line. So are they trying to tell us that the platform was intentionally destroyed for a purpose? But what would be the purpose? Do you guys remember that weird device that they placed on top to plug the hole right there, to plug or to cap the oil discharge? Did you see how it was some kind of like big, huge, squared off type device? Would you put it past them to place some kind of detonation ordinance inside there to be used at a later date to possibly set off the Madrid fault line? And what exactly would the Madrid fault line look like if it was compromised? And as you can see in some of those maps that I've showed you in some of my other videos, the Madrid fault line is indeed compromised, and the water goes up towards the Great Lakes and over towards New York. I'm not making any predictions. I'm just sharing with you guys some information that that is very interesting to me and possibly may become interesting to you. Now, let us go take a look at the interesting images from the apocalyptic murals at the Johns Hopkins University. To the main attraction, in case you guys are unfamiliar with the Johns Hopkins University apocalyptic murals, I'm going to show you just some of the things that are rather interesting about this. What, you know, he is coming and it is in flames. Okay. So we have to ask, with these apocalyptic murals, who are they talking about? Who is indeed coming? And I want to remind you guys about the crop circle, Inky. I want to remind you all about everything that the animated short I Pet Goat 2 was showing us about Draco and everything that he's going to be involved in. Let's take a look at some of the other murals that you guys are going to find interesting. All right. Now, you remember they were talking about this comet that was going through the head of Leo the lion? Now, I'm not saying that that is what this represents, but if you take a look here, what does that look like over on the left-hand side right there? And it looks like it's projecting forward out of Leo the lion. I'm not saying that that's what it means, but I did find that rather interesting. Just something to look at. Of course, they just wouldn't be known as the apocalyptic murals without them exactly saying that. The apocalypse. And the reason why I bring all this up is because with everything going on in the world right now, doesn't it look like we are definitely entering into this apocalyptic end times? I could be wrong. Hell. But you look at everything going on around you, you look at how all of the signs are pointing that direction, and just take a look at the apocalypse. So now, how does one of these murals fit in with the whole green dragon Draco and Inky and Saturn Cronus? I want you to take a look at this, and we're going to analyze everything that we see. So let's take a look at how this kind of fits into the Book of Revelation. And as you'll see, it appears like they depict some kind of like angel pouring out water. And let's take a look. We won't take a look at the dragon here, or the serpent dragon here, for a moment. I've already discussed the imagery right here about this dragon, but do you know what also fits into the Book of Revelation as well? Do you guys remember the bear and how it was described by other people, how that references Russia and other countries in league with Russia in the end days? Do you know what's really interesting also about the seven crowns and the 10 horns? You guys remember that? Do you guys remember how many crowns or the crown points are on the Statue of Liberty? You guys remember that? Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at the bear first. See? There is the bear right there. See it? Or not. Okay. It's right there. Okay. Let's take a look over here at the crowns, the crown points that are on the Statue of Liberty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And we can see all kinds of imagery right here. We're not going. I can't begin to get into all of this imagery over here to the left because I really don't know as of yet what this imagery indicates. But as I stated, here, what is interesting is that it appears there's going to be a lot of water and it's going to affect the Statue of Liberty or the 7 crowns. Okay? Now, let's get into the whole green comet or the dragon that was mentioned in iPet Goat 2. And the fact that I showed you that Inky Cronus is referred to as Draco per the Marvel comics. Also, I found other evidence of that just outside of the comics that I've used in other videos. But as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if you look at the 666 symbology, you have a forward 6, a forward 6, and then a backward 6, which I found really interesting. But as I've already pointed out many, many times about the cross that is used by the secret societies on their cloaks, and you can see that star right there at the snout of the dragon. As you can see, it is a dragon, fire-breathing serpent-like dragon here. And that is the astrological or astronomical, whatever word I'm looking to use here. That is the symbol for Saturn. And we can also see the planetary imagery there as well, and it looks like a planet with the rings around it. So now my question becomes, with everything that was going on with iPet Goat 2, with the fact that they released another video just a couple of months ago and all the videos are now removed, the green dragon imagery, the Draco imagery, the fact that you have these apocalyptic murals telling you that this is all about the apocalypse of when things are going to happen, and you see everything with going on in Massachusetts right now. I'm just wondering if that Deepwater Horizon platform that was there, if it was created with the plug to go off at some later date. You know, if you have all of this speculation, and some of it isn't so much speculation, but there's a lot of evidence that goes along the route that there may have been some kind of device used to make the tsunami happen in Japan. Okay? Could there have been some device installed to affect the Madrid fault line at a later date, and we would never even know it because, hey, it happened so long ago. What was it, 2011? And now we're, 12 years later? We don't know exactly when that device would be used, but doesn't it interest anybody that those thumbtacks that were on that map show us instances of where something has happened, whether it's Hurricane Katrina that we believe was steered in to Louisiana, whether it's the New York, the Twin Towers, we know what happened there. We know what happened in Oklahoma in 1996. And they're showing us something that took place in the Gulf of Mexico with that thumbtack. How is it going to, is it all about just the oil spill? Is that the only reason why that thumbtack was placed there? Or is it related to something that's going to be coming about? And if it is, what would be the result of the Madrid fault line being affected? How would it affect all the way going up north towards the Great Lakes and off into New York? That is the question. Only time will tell. And I just thought I would share this with everybody. And again, I just want to state for the record that I am happy that nothing happened on this December 11th. Why am I thinking December? September the 11th. But if we're taking a look at all of the things that are going on right now, the flooding, like I said, in Lybia, flooding in Massachusetts, the volcano, that's some pretty crazy volcanic eruption over there in Hawaii. The earthquake in Morocco. Many things have been happening and would lead to believe that it's not going to let up now. We're going to be seeing more and more and more. But exactly what more are we going to be seeing? Thanks, everybody.